Have you ever decided to start playing a new MMO? You're all excited, the honeymoon phase of the game is just setting in, and you can't wait to level up and get gear and learn new abilities and become more powerful. And then you think, well, let me just check the Reddit really quick. I'm sure it will be a wholesome peruse through a litany of others who enjoy and love this game just as much as I do. Oh God. Maybe this game isn't as good as it seems. Maybe this game isn't deserving of all of this praise that my initial honeymoon-based reaction is giving it. Why are these people even playing this game? They clearly hate it. Why do people continuously insist on playing games that they apparently seem to dislike? What is this phenomenon, and why does it matter? Well, here's the thing. Seemingly disliking your hobby of choice is not actually as rare as people seem to think it is. I mean, the very basis of a complaint is founded in having the experience prior to even be able to form a complaint. It's why expertise in a particular field is so highly valued, because that prior knowledge is required to even understand and develop a conversation around the nuances of any particular complaint or issue. For example, I might say, hey, my car is loud and it's annoying. But a mechanic would be able to parse through that and come to the conclusion that while I'm complaining about my car as an entire entity, what's really causing the problem is a leaky exhaust. So generally speaking, the people who have more time or expertise or knowledge in a particular field are going to have a wider variety of complaints and issues in that field. So thinking back to MMORPGs, we often hear people say, well, why are you still playing this game if you have all of these complaints? And my first point stands that these complaints don't necessarily come from a place of genuine dislike, but more so from a place of greater overall knowledge. But let's focus on that question. Why are you still playing? Well, the problem here is that when people are faced with this question in a particular hobby or a game that they have spent a long time playing, it implies potentially leaving or putting down the game forever. Usually when people ask, why are you still playing, they're not asking if you want to take a short break. They're asking if you want to quit entirely. And because you've spent so much time and effort on this particular game, leaving it all behind feels bad because it implies that you've wasted all of that time learning and acquiring knowledge and experience in something that you're just going to quit. This is quite commonly known as the sunken cost fallacy, which implies that you will continue doing whatever you're doing, not because of the results or anything that you're getting out of it, but instead simply because you have put so much time and effort into that activity in the first place. But when we're talking about video games and MMOs in particular, is the sunken cost fallacy always a bad thing? I mean, just take a quick look through most games' TOS, and that'll tell you that everything in the game that you think you own, you actually don't. Your character, its levels, your gold, your items, technically are owned by the game itself, and they reserve the right to take those things whenever they want, without any reason. Of course, without reason would be bad business practice, and I don't think most people would play a game where you just get randomly banned for no reason. But there's also the eventuality that the game will lose the majority of its player base and the servers may shut down forever. So my question is, what do we really value in a game? Is it our characters, their power, what they've acquired, our achievements? Or instead, is it the experiences we had while playing that character and utilizing those items and powers and achievements? My bet is that the majority of people value the experience they had along the way. And that's what leads me to my next point. Some people actually really do hate the game that they are playing. Why is this? And is it really the majority of players? Well, there's a few reasons for why this could happen. First of all, they may have rose-tinted goggles from a time when the game was in a better place, maybe before they added a predatory microtransaction system, or overall, they just found the experience to be more compelling in the past. This is nostalgia. People can spend years continuing to play a game that they dislike while chasing that dragon of an experience that they had in the game prior, even though they will probably never have that experience again. I know this feeling all too well, and I think a lot of MMO players can relate. The second reason people might continue to play a game that they hate is that they may have social pressure from friends that they play with to continue playing a game despite not enjoying it. And the experience of playing with friends on a game that they dislike is still better to them than playing alone on a game that they actually like. The third, it could just be a lack of awareness of other games and options that exist. Potentially the player just has no idea that their dream MMO is out there. And fourth and finally, and this is a strange one, but it could be out of contempt. Sometimes people have invested very heavily into defending their particular game of choice, and despite not having any fun at all while playing, they've invested a major part of their identity into telling others how amazing that game actually is. And so to quit would actually be detrimental to who they are as a person. This is much more common than you think, and if you look deep inside, many of us MMO players can probably find a time when we were acting this way about a certain game as well. But to bring this to a conclusion, I first showed you why it appears that so many people hate the game that they're playing, but they don't necessarily hate it, and instead they are just knowledgeable enough to actually form complaints. Secondly, I showed you some of the reasons that people actually dislike a game that they're currently playing. But I think we can come to the fair assumption that the majority of gamers don't actively dislike the game that they're playing. It might come across that way on Reddit or Discords or anywhere where conversation around the game is happening, but really as people we tend to provide the most criticism to the things that we care about the most. It's very easy to hate on something from a distance and make a quick comment about, oh, that game sucks, or that game's gonna be dead in 2 years. But to actually form a concise and real piece of criticism, it would require you to have so much more time and effort invested into that particular game to even provide that. And if we take a look at some of the real reasons that people are playing games they dislike, from nostalgia to social pressure or lack of awareness, all of those things are generally easily fixed and don't actually last that long. Nostalgia is a very temporary emotion that leaves quickly as soon as you begin playing a game for any reasonable amount of time. Social pressure from a friend group is generally a fairly quick thing, as it would require your entire friend group to stay playing only that game for it to last for any significant amount of time. And a lack of awareness is literally just a ticking time bomb, because eventually you're gonna hear about a game that you might want to try. And as for the people who continue to play a game out of contempt or spite, well, we can't really help those guys. They gotta help themselves. But I don't think as many people are actively disliking or hating the games that they're playing as we like to make it seem. Most people enjoy their current game, and if they didn't, they would move on to the next one. You can complain about something without entirely disliking it. Anyway, if you guys enjoy these short little discussion videos, please let me know. I really enjoy making them and exploring some of these topics. Make sure to comment a time you fell into one of these categories of MMO players hating the game you're currently playing. And also, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, think about subscribing, and if you really enjoyed the video, think about becoming a channel member. Press join below the video for more details and to find out what you gain access to. Anyway, I'll catch you all in the next one. Later.